Hello, this is Rick Grantham of rickgrantham.com. This is the first in a series of interviews where we're talking to movers and shakers within the Excel community. First up is Mynda Treacy of myonlinetraininghub.com. Now, in this interview, Mynda discusses how she gives 1/3 of her training away for free. She talks about how she started up her website, why she started that up, and what are some of her favorite places that she goes to, or where she recommends that people go to whenever they run into Excel problems. So all that is coming up next. Hello, everyone. This is Rick Grantham of rickgrantham.com. I'm coming to you today from sunny Southern California. As you can see around here, I'm in a hotel room because you got to go where business is. But I got to tell you, today is an exciting day. Today I have on the phone straight from Australia Mynda Treacy, who has been in the Excel world for quite some time, does training, has her own website and everything else. So, Mynda, it's great to have you here. Would you mind saying hello and tell all the viewers a little bit about yourself?
Sure, Rick. Thanks for that introduction. I've been using Excel for 18 years. My first exposure to it was when I worked in London in investment banking, and I used it day in, day out, 8 hours a day. It was my life, and I loved it. But about 10 years ago, my husband and I, Phil, moved to Australia, and where we live, there's no investment banks. So since then, we've been working with small businesses, and initially we worked in our original careers, which is accounting for me, and Phil's an IT consultant. We would come home each day after a day at work and exchange stories about people who had asked us questions on how to do sometimes the most basic things in Excel, Word, and Outlook, and we just couldn't believe they didn't have that basic understanding. And when we looked into it, and we looked into training opportunities that are out there, the classroom-based training was very expensive. And for small businesses, they couldn't afford to lose that employee for a day or two. So we kind of understood why. And that's when we decided to start My Online Training Hub, because we wanted to bring that training to people in a format that was affordable, but also suited their work to lifestyles. So we focus on Excel, Word, and Outlook training, but my passion is Excel. So there's quite a long answer to your short question.
No, that's great, and I think you're right. It was amazing whenever I used to work in kind of financial services, doing financial forecasting and all that sort of stuff, and it was kind of amazing to some extent. Some of the most basic things that it's one of those things. If you're really good at the tool, you seem like a wizard. I mean, to people who aren't. And sending people off to training can sometimes be hundreds of dollars a day, $1,500 a week. It could be pretty expensive. So, particularly for the people who will be viewing this, the people who are come to my website who are more around small business owners, a lot of them are kind of new or intermediate type Excel users. So if you don't mind, I'm going to just shoot you some questions that I think are largely from their perspective. What would a new user kind of be interested in? So I'm gonna shoot some questions at the expert, if that's okay with you.
Sure, no problem.
Shoot away. Okay, so first off, as a person who's getting used to Excel for the first time, where should a beginner start with learning Excel? If they're cracking it open for the first time, they're kind of understanding functions and things like that. In your mind, where should someone start with learning Excel?
Well, it's such a vast program, but I think when you can start to learn a few formulas, you will realize that Excel is so much more than just a glorified calculator. So I think I would focus on learning a few functions and putting them to use and start to really benefit from Excel, and then you'll have that hunger to learn more.
That segues perfectly to my next question, because there's a ton of functions. If you're in finance, you could be net present value, internal rate of return, and all the statistical functions. And I mean, there's just a ton that you could possibly, do with it. Since you do training largely day in and day out, you run a very successful blog. Are there certain functions that you've seen that are probably the most overlooked, but, that are most overlooked by pretty much everybody, but people could get the most use out of it if they knew about it?
Yeah. I think if you've mastered the if function and you've mastered VLOOKUP, then the two I would say are index and some product. Index is an extremely versatile function, and a lot of people know how to use it with match. So index and match is a great alternative to VLOOKUP, and I definitely recommend mastering that. But index can be so much more, and many people don't know that you can use it to return a dynamic range, which often people will use the offset function to do that. But index is a little bit better in that it's not volatile. So it's kind of an advanced function, but it can be used in so many applications, and it can be used in some quite basic applications as well. So definitely try and master index and try and use it as much as you can, and you'll start to extend your capabilities and uses for it. So index and some product. I like some products because although it's an array formula, you don't have to enter it with Control Shift and Enter. It's a bit more robust for that reason, but it's also very versatile. So if you can start to play around with some product, then that's another one to tackle. And look, if you can master that, you'll be considered an expert. So
yeah,
it's not as scary as it sounds.
I agree with you. You start throwing out some product and index and things like that, and particularly you start throwing that around the office sometimes, and you're looked at like you're a wizard. so mastering those would be a good thing. Now, whenever you're talking to end users and you're going and you're facilitating training and things like that, where do you recommend that people go to if they have technical questions with spreadsheets? Because I know myself, there have been times where I've just been completely stuck, haven't known what to do, pulling my hair out, don't know where to go. Are there places that you recommend that people go to or investigate as resources out there whenever they're having technical problems?
Yeah, my favorite is forums. And I like forums not just for help for yourself, but also I recommend people go and browse through forums to hone their Excel skills. So forums are a great source of practice questions. And while you're there, why not try and help someone else? Find a question that you think you can answer. If you don't know the answer off the top of your head, then Google it and see if you can figure it out. It's an awesome way to not just help someone else, but help yourself learn Excel. And the other thing I like about forums is often there's multiple answers to the same question. So you'll learn different approaches to solving the same problem, and some will be more elegant than others. So forums are my favorite.
There's a lot of back and forth in forums. Sometimes I've noticed that one expert will come in and answer, and then another expert will come in and think 4 different ways that they could do it, and it just kind of goes back and forth. For some of the viewers, are there forums that you frequent more often than others? Is there in particular Excel forums that you found to be pretty popular?
No, I'm not fussy.
Okay.
I generally start with Google, and then I'll invariably end up in a forum. And then if I can't find the answer already asked and answered, then I'll ask one. But no, generally,
so Google,
anyone will.
Google your question and put in the word forum. You got a pretty good shot there.
Google is.
You got it. So with that, in addition to forums, there are books and all sorts of different things out there. Which have you seen since you've been doing training for quite some time here that you've seen to be the best books if someone is for maybe we'll say a beginning or an intermediate level or maybe an advanced level user? Are there certain Excel books that you've seen that you recommend over and over?
Well, it's been a while since I've read a beginner's Excel book.
I bet.
But, if you're at that beginner to intermediate level, I think there are a couple of places that have some great books. And the first one is MrExcel.com.
Right.
He has been around forever and has written books on every topic you can imagine. And they're really good. And they're real business scenarios as well. So MrExcel.com is a great resource. And you can get hard copies or ebooks from him. Alan Wyatt of ExcelTips.net, he has quite a good range of beginner Excel books and some more advanced topics as well, and his are available in very specific topics. So if you just want to learn pivot tables, you can go and get a pivot table book, for example. For the advanced user, well, recently I read Mike Girvin's book, Control Shift and Enter, Mastering Excel Array Formulas, and a great read. Loads of really good examples, and the first book I know that really demystifies array formulas. So I'd recommend that for the advanced user. If you haven't cracked array formulas, then go grab that.
Great. Yeah, it's crazy. I just recently put together on my website, what are the best Excel books, and came up with a list of 80 or so, and we're at about 90 or so Excel books right now, and I was amazed, to your point, how many of those had Mr. Excel as the author. Like 40 some odd books had him as either the sole author or a partial author, and in that blog post, actually, the very first comment was from Mr. Excel saying, hey, put Mike Gerben's book on there, the Shift Control Alt Enter or whatever it is for the array formulas. Mike Gerben, for people who don't know, is also Excel is Fun. His YouTube channel is pretty darn popular, over 2,000 YouTube videos, so it's hard to hit YouTube without actually running across Mr. Excel is Fun, Mike Gerben. Well, absolutely. So, and Mike Gerben does a lot of tutorials and things like that. I know Mr. Excel does as well, and certainly there's Excel as VBA is a lot of tutorials, but you do tutorials as well, and it's a lot of training and things like that. Which have you seen as being the best online Excel tutorials that you know of?
Look, like you said, YouTube is a great resource. The challenge with YouTube is knowing what you want to learn or what you need to learn.
Right.
With our training, we offer the first 1/3 of Excel, Word, and Outlook, our Excel, Word, and Outlook courses for free. So if you're a beginner, that's a great place to start. We'll get you up and running quickly. We also have an Excel resources page, and there are links on that page to lots of tutorials that I've written on Excel formulas, but also pivot tables and other Excel tools. And for the more advanced user, I write every week a blog post, and often they're on some of the more advanced topics. So our blog is a great resource as well.
Okay, and for people who are watching this video, you'll either, hopefully you'll see like underneath here or something, we'll have all the links to what Mynda is talking about right now, from her blog posts to all of the training. And the good thing about what you said, Mynda, that I like is you said 1/3 of the training is free. So you get a chance to kind of get in and get your feet wet and see if this is something that's, if it's valuable to you or not. And you offer that not only in Excel, but you said Word and Outlook as well, correct?
Yeah, so you can test it, see if that sort of learning style is right for you, see if you like the videos and the way that the topics are presented. So, yeah, no risk, try it for free.
Gotcha. So in addition to some of the free resources, there are also some paid resources out there, and tutorials and things like that. So you offer those as well, the paid tutorials as well, correct?
Yeah, we do. We also break our courses down into very small chunks. So if you've got a spare 5 or 10 minutes, then you can do a bit of training and fit it in around your workload. We're very conscious that people are really busy, and the last thing you're going to do is sit down and watch a video that takes half an hour if you don't have half an hour. So we do that. We also provide all of the workbooks that we use in the filming for you to download, so you can go and practice what you've just viewed using the exact same data. So if you go wrong, then it's not because your sample data isn't the same as ours. It's all the same, and there's also some practice questions in there for some of the more important formulas, so you can continue practicing and refining your skills. So our tutorials, I think if you try them out for free and you like them, then you can upgrade and purchase the premium package, which gives you access to everything.
Gotcha. Before you created your online courses, before you left the corporate world with your husband Phil, and you guys created your own training, had you taken any online Excel training before that? Or was there any kind of learnings that you got from that went into your training?
Well, back in 1995, when I started using Excel, there weren't any online courses. I did take the odd classroom-based course, but what I found with the classroom-based courses is what you learn is quickly forgotten if you don't practice it. So I know I did some courses that I didn't use at all. But more recently, I have done some online courses, not on Excel, but on other topics. And I really enjoyed just the flexibility of it, and that I can, do it when it suits me. Usually at the end of the day when I'm a bit tired, but I think, I should do something else. I might watch a video or something and learn something new. So it's kind of entertainment as well as learning.
That's right. Something to do so I don't have to fold socks or anything else.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's a good thing. With all the training that's out there, some of the people who are listening to this might consider that, for helping their career or something of that nature, they may consider, Excel certifications. And I'd like to understand from your perspective, your expert opinion, does it make sense to get those sorts of things or not? Have you seen any value of people getting any certifications?
For me, I don't think that the certificate itself gives you any real advantage. I know when I used to interview people for positions, I would test their Excel knowledge. I'd ask them specific questions. It's neither here nor there for me whether they had the certificate.
Right.
I wanted them to show me their skills, and that's where your practice and experience pays off. I mean, a certificate might put you slightly higher up the pile of resumes, but I think when it comes down to it in the interview, if you can't show the goods, then
right.
the certificate's worthless.
Understood. So how long have you been using Excel?
Gosh, 18 years.
You already said 1995.
I started with Lotus 123, and then wasn't long before the company that I work for switched to Excel. So yeah, it was a long time.
That was the first thing that I touched as well. I worked for a credit card company, and at the time I was in the finance department, and that's whenever I was first exposed to Lotus 123 was 4. At the time, I didn't even know what it was, and my job was to convert everything to Excel. I do remember using Lotus quite a bit. I think I was about the time that Quattro Pro was out quite a bit as well. So if you remember that, yeah. You've been doing this a while.
It's still getting off.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So if people want to find you after this video, they've heard you. Where can they go about finding you? Would you mind talking a little bit more about your website and what it is that you do there? And if people who are interested in business and people who are interested in learning more about Excel, and you also mentioned Word and Outlook, we're looking to get a hold of you and to look at what your services are. How would they go about getting a hold of you?
Sure. If they come to our website, which is myonlinetraininghub.com, they can browse through the different course offerings. They can go to the blog and have a look at some of the tutorials there. They can sign up for our newsletter, so my weekly Excel newsletter, if they want to get a feel for my teaching style and the type of things that we cover in our training, then they can sign up there. It doesn't cost anything. And if they sign up for the newsletter, I've also written an ebook on 100 Excel tips and tricks, so they'll get that for nothing. So yeah, it's all there on the website. The menus at the top should be fairly intuitive, give you ideas on pricing, what other resources are there. So
great. What 100 Excel tips for free? So that's a download?
Yeah. If you enter your email address in to sign up for the newsletter, I'll send you the ebook. It's just a PDF. They can download it and print it off if they want.
Sounds great. And again, what I really love about what you said is basically the first third's free. It's not only Microsoft, but if you're looking at business sort of products anyways, you have Word, you have Excel, there's a lot there, and people can get a feel for the value they're going to get from the training before they ever get rid of their first dollar or shekel or whatever it is. So that's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Mynda, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Tell Phil as well. Thank you for making the time and all of that, and we appreciate you joining us today. Again, this is Mynda Treacy from My Online Training Hub. She's coming to you straight from Australia. Where is that in Australia, Mynda? Where exactly are you?
We're on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, so we're on the east coast, about an hour north of Brisbane.
Oh, nice.
So it's very hot today. It's now 30 degrees.
30 degrees in November. Nice. Nothing wrong with that. Well, Mynda, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. Again, that's Mynda Treacy of myonlinetraininghub.com. This is Rick Grantham, rickgrantham.com. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
So, did you like this? Do you want to see more of these? If so, feel free to hit one of the like buttons or the share buttons or anything down below. Also, you should see a subscribe button. Go ahead and hit that as well, because we're coming out with these interviews on a regular basis where we're sharing the expertise that there is already out there in the Excel community. Also, feel free to use this as one of your own stories on your own website if you like to. Just create a hot link directly to it. So until next time, this is Rick Grantham telling you to be a champion.